Stop chasing, stop explaining, stop begging for attention. If you really want her to remember you long after you're gone, you don't do it with roses or empty compliments. You do it with silence. You do it with presence. You do it with the kind of detachment that digs into her subconscious and refuses to leave. Most men don't understand this. They think attraction is enough, but attraction fades. Obsession doesn't. Obsession lives in the shadows of her mind, replaying in silence when no one else is around. That's the territory you need to enter. If you skip this video or jump ahead, you'll miss the exact patterns that make her brain crave your energy. So stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you can't be half heard. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you use it, she will never see you the same way again. Most men destroy their own power in the first few days. They overtalk, overexplain, overdeliver. They flood her with messages. They rush to prove their value. And in that desperation, they burn the very tension that makes them memorable. Niceness doesn't etch itself into memory. Niceness makes you safe, predictable, forgettable. You think you're creating comfort. What you're really doing is erasing yourself. Stop being nice. Start being dangerous. That doesn't mean cruel. It doesn't mean reckless. It means unpredictable. It means carrying an energy that says, I don't need to please you. You need to figure me out. The nice guy texts good morning every single day. He replies in seconds. He asks if she ate. He explains why he was busy. He lives like a slave to validation. And what does she feel? Nothing. Because there is no tension, no disruption, just a soft pillow that she'll use and forget. If you want to leave a permanent mark, you must create emotional friction. That means breaking her rhythm. If she expects a text at 8 a.m., don't send it. If she expects endless emojis, send none. If she expects enthusiasm, give her stillness. Let silence scream louder than attention. Most men are addicted to approval. It's a quiet addiction. They can't tolerate the thought of her wondering, of her waiting. They need to be liked so badly they crush their own mystery. Every double text, every instant reply, every overexplained excuse teaches her one thing: your energy is cheap, and cheap energy never leaves a mark. So what's the fix? Simple, cut it. For the next 7 days, eliminate every unnecessary contact. No double texts, no explanations. If she doesn't message you, good. Let her wonder. If she does, wait, take your time. Respond calm, short, measured. A single word when you want. Yes, sometimes, we'll see. No drama, no warmth, no eagerness, just stillness. You're not being rude. You're showing dominance. You're retraining her brain to associate your attention with rarity. And what's rare? It's valuable. When she feels your absence without apology, it begins to itch. That itch is where obsession begins. Not in comfort, but in confusion. Not in what you gave, but in what you withheld. Here's what you do this week. Practice silence. Practice detachment. If she expects a compliment, give her a look instead. Calm, steady eye contact. Don't say you're beautiful. Just look, nod once, and let the air hold the weight. That gap between expectation and reality creates a mystery she can't explain. And when her mind can't explain you, it stores you deeper. This isn't manipulation. This is strategy. You're not punishing her. You're creating space for her to feel your weight. That space builds intrigue. That intrigue grows into craving. She doesn't need safety from you. Safety is for friends. She needs tension. She needs to feel slightly off balance, not unsafe, just not fully in control. That's what creates attraction that burns into memory. Your goal is not to be perfect. Your goal is to be unforgettable. She won't remember your jokes. She won't remember your emojis. She won't remember your explanations. But she will remember how your silence made her question herself, how your detachment made her chase. That memory becomes your emotional imprint. So starting today, stop being the pillow. Stop making her comfortable. Be the fire. Fire warms, but hold it too long and it burns. That's what you are now. The heat she reaches for but can't hold. Pull back, slow down, speak less. Watch how her mind reacts. Watch how silence becomes louder than words. When you return, when you reappear, it won't just be noticed. It will be felt. That's the mark of power. That's the beginning of obsession. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about presence. Because once you pull back, you need to make every second of your presence heavy. Most men walk into a room like shadows. They shrink. They fidget. They talk too much to fill the air. That's weakness. That's noise. Presence is the opposite. Presence means you move slow, shoulders back. Eye contact steady. You don't rush. You don't chase. You don't beg for attention. You are the attention. Every movement is intentional. No fiddling with your phone. No nervous laughter, just calm weight that says, I don't need to prove myself. You need to adjust to me. When she speaks, you don't overreact. You don't fill silence with chatter. You let it hang. That silence is power. It says, I don't need to dance for you. I know my worth. And that triggers something deep in her subconscious. She's used to men chasing. When she feels herself leaning forward to decode you, that's when she starts to crave. Here's a drill: slow your words by 10%. Lower your tone. Pause mid-sentence. That rhythm forces attention. People can't ignore it. The human brain is wired to lean into tension. You create that simply by speaking less and holding more silence. Try it with everyone: waiters, friends, strangers. Once it's natural, you become magnetic. Detach physically too. Sit wide. Lean back, take your space. Don't lean into her comfort, let her lean into yours. Every time you adapt to her, you give up the frame. Stop adapting, reverse it. Let her adapt to you. That shift flips the roles. Suddenly she's pursuing, not you. When conflict comes, stay calm. Never argue with emotion. If she's heated, don't rise with her. Hold your ground, silence, stillness. That contrast between her chaos and your calm makes you unforgettable. It imprints stability into her nervous system. She may not explain it, but she'll feel it. That's power. Now let's talk about withdrawal. Emotional impact doesn't come from what you give. It comes from what you take away. To leave a permanent mark, you must become a disruption in her story. That means presence and absence. Deep connection followed by sudden silence. Listen carefully. Let her open up. Nod, hold her wrist, look into her eyes, then vanish. 24 to 48 hours of silence. Nothing, no text, no call, no goodnight. That gap leaves her in free fall. Her brain scrambles to fill the void. That scramble is your imprint. You didn't ghost. You imprinted. She will replay the last moment over and over. She'll analyze every word, every look, every silence. That reflection is your advantage. You're in her subconscious without lifting a finger. Here's a tactic. Next time you share something deep, stop halfway. Leave the story unfinished. Smile. Say, never mind. Walk away. That cliffhanger plants a seed. She will revisit it alone, trying to complete the story in her mind. That's obsession. That's the mark. This is not cruelty. This is design. You're not here to make her comfortable. You're here to make her feel uncertain, feel intrigued, feel alive. Because humans don't remember what's easy. They remember what shook them. Now here's your 7-day challenge. Eliminate unnecessary words. Eliminate overexplaining. Speak less, hold more silence. Detach. Withhold. Disrupt her rhythm. If she texts, wait. If she expects, break it. If she leans in, lean back. Let the space between you grow heavy. That space becomes the scar she can't heal from. Not pain, but presence. Not cruelty, but control. And once you master that, you stop being a memory. You become a haunting. A voice that echoes in her mind when she's alone, when she's with someone else, when she least expects it. You've pulled back. You've gone silent. She's already felt the weight of your absence. But this is where most men stop, and this is where you begin. Because obsession doesn't come from one moment. It comes from repetition. It comes from being the scar that never fully closes. Here's the brutal truth. Emotional impact isn't about what you gave her. It's about what you took away. You don't become unforgettable by flooding her with attention. You become unforgettable by disrupting her story, by being the chapter she can't skip. Think of it like this. She has her rhythm. Texts, calls, routines, men line up to keep that rhythm smooth. But you're not smooth, you're disruption. You're the jolt. You're the silence after the storm. You're the scar tissue her mind keeps touching. That's what makes her crave. So how do you create that? You master presence in the moment and absence right after. When you're there, you're fully there. Eye contact locked, voice calm, posture unshaken. You listen. You let her open up. You make her feel like she's seen in a way no one else has. And just when she's basking in that rare closeness, you disappear. 24 hours, 48 hours, no explanation, no apology. No, I was busy, just nothing. That silence burns, because her brain isn't wired for gaps. It rushes to fill them. It replays the last words, the last touch, the last look. That reflection is your imprint. You didn't ghost. You engraved yourself. Here's a tactic only a few men understand. Share something deep, a story of pain, a lesson, a memory. Halfway through, stop. Leave it unfinished, smile faintly. Say, never mind, that's it. You've planted an unresolved thread in her subconscious. She'll tug at it for days, trying to unravel it. That's how you become more than a man. You become a riddle, and riddles are unforgettable. Listen carefully. Women don't crave answers. They crave tension, mystery, the itch of the unknown. The man who always explains himself dies in her memory. The man who resists explanation lives there forever. This isn't manipulation. This is power. You're not punishing her. You're allowing her to feel the depth of your weight. You're creating a space she can't control, and that space turns into obsession. Now let's level up. Let's talk about the frame. Every man walks into a room, few own it, most shrink. They chase the vibe, they adapt, they fold. But the man who holds the frame doesn't bend. He anchors. When you enter, you don't rush. You don't fidget, you don't fill silence. You stand tall, shoulders back, head steady, every step deliberate. You don't need to be loud, you don't need to be flashy. Your stillness says everything. I am not here to ask for attention. I am the attention. This is the difference between boys and men. Boys chase comfort. Men create presence. And presence is unforgettable. When she's around, you never chase her rhythm. If she's nervous, you stay calm. If she's loud, you lower your voice. If she's chaotic, you stay still. You don't mirror her chaos. You anchor it. That reversal triggers something in her subconscious. Safety mixed with danger. Stability mixed with mystery. That's where the craving comes from. Here's a drill you start today. Slow your words by 10%. Lower your tone slightly. Pause mid-sentence. Let silence hang. Watch how she leans in. Watch how her eyes stay fixed. That rhythm forces attention. It projects control. It rewires how she sees you. Posture matters too. Sit wide, take space. Lean back. Don't collapse into her. Don't shrink into her comfort zone. Let her come forward. That physical distance, that lean-back energy flips the dynamic. She adjusts to you, not the other way around. And when conflict comes, most men panic, they argue, they beg, they lose their frame. You won't. You stay calm. Silent if needed. Your stillness says, I don't lose control, ever. That stability imprints itself deeper than any sweet word ever could. Now let's bring unpredictability into play. Because here's the truth. If she can fully predict you, she will never fully want you. Predictability is the death of obsession. What hooks the subconscious is mystery, emotional variety, the edge of not knowing what comes next. This doesn't mean chaos. This doesn't mean toxicity. This means controlled volatility. It means one day you're deeply engaged, the next you're distant. One day you're open, the next you're unreadable. Not because you're unstable, but because your energy is not guaranteed. That's the hook her mind can't escape. The nice guy is always available, always stable, always eager, and he's always forgotten. You don't want to be safe. You want to be unforgettable. You want to be the storm. So how do you do this? Stop broadcasting your intentions. Don't tell her what you'll do, just do it. Cancel plans once in a while. Disappear for a weekend. Say, I need time to think, and leave it there. That silence, that unpredictability builds tension. She'll feel anxious, intrigued, pulled. That tension glues her to you. It makes her nervous but addicted, because the human brain is wired to crave what it can't fully control. Switch up your responses. If you're usually serious, drop in sudden humor. If you're usually playful, become reflective. If you're usually warm, become cold. Not to confuse, but to keep her decoding. The enigma is powerful because it forces her to think. And the more her mind works on you, the deeper you embed yourself. Here's a practical move. If she expects romance, give stoicism. If she expects silence, show boldness. If she expects warmth, give indifference. Every time she thinks she knows your next step, you flip it. That reversal shakes her control. That shake is the beginning of obsession. Think of yourself as a storm. Calm one day, intense the next. Never predictable, never safe, but always unforgettable. Because storms change the landscape. They leave scars, they alter memory. That's who you are now. A psychological weather system. She won't fully understand you, but she won't be able to forget you either. This is how you become the scar she can't heal from. Not by doing more, not by explaining more, but by being more than she can process. By being felt, not figured out. By being the silence that echoes, the presence that lingers, the absence that burns. And now it's time to turn that storm into permanence. To stop being just a memory and start becoming an anchor. Because once you're the anchor, there's no escape. A woman doesn't remember every word you said. She remembers how you made her feel. She remembers the silence that made her question herself. She remembers the moment you leaned back instead of forward. That's what burns into memory. That's what lingers. If you want to leave a permanent psychological mark, stop chasing her comfort. Stop trying to impress with gifts, texts, or routine attention. Those things fade. What doesn't fade are the moments that shook her. The moments that felt like a scar pressed into her mind. You need to tattoo her emotions. Carve memories into her nervous system. How? By creating experiences that no one else dares to. Ask questions no one else asks. When did you stop trusting people? What would destroy you emotionally? What are you running from? These questions bypass the surface and pierce the subconscious. They trigger emotions she didn't prepare to feel. And that surprise, that raw exposure becomes unforgettable. Then when she expects you to stay, you leave. Calm, silent, without drama. You walk away at the peak of emotion, leaving her to process it alone. That gap becomes a craving. Her mind circles back to you, replaying, searching for closure that never comes. That loop is obsession. Here's another move. Share a story so personal, so vulnerable that it stirs her deeply. But stop short of a conclusion. No moral, no resolution, just silence. Let her imagination finish it. That unfinished story becomes a ghost in her head. She will revisit it when she's alone. She'll talk about it with friends. She'll build meaning where you gave none. That's power. That's imprinting. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the most attractive man in the room. You need to be the most unresolved. The one she can't fully understand. The one who always leaves her with more questions than answers. Humans obsess over the incomplete. Be that incompleteness. Now presence turns into pressure. Your frame becomes her anchor. You walk into a room and the air shifts. Not because you beg for attention, but because your calm commands it. You speak slower. You move less. You look longer. Everything is intentional. That intentionality becomes gravity, and she can't escape orbit. When you argue, you don't argue. You go silent. When she tests, you do fold. You stay steady. That steadiness imprints stability. And that stability mixed with unpredictability becomes addictive. She feels both safe and unsafe. Both drawn and pushed. Both warm and burned. That duality is what makes her crave. Now here's the final transformation. Stop trying to be understood. Stop trying to explain yourself. Stop giving her every detail. The man who can live without being understood is the man who dominates her thoughts, because the mind loops endlessly on what it can't label. When she says, "I don't get you," smile. Say, "Good," leave it there. That resistance to clarity is magnetic. She can't close the file on you. She reopens it in her head again and again. That's your power. That's the enigma. Don't clarify every move. If she asks, "Where are you going?" say, "Where I need to be." If she asks, "What are you thinking?" say, "Not everything needs to be shared." Those phrases carry weight, not because they're rude, but because they create space. space for her to imagine, space for her to obsess. Most men want to be loved. Most men want to be liked. Forgettable men chase affection, but unforgettable men carve themselves into the subconscious. They are not just remembered, they are replayed, analyzed, reanalyzed. They become the question mark that never erases. You are not here to win her heart. You are here to live inside her mind, to be the itch she can't scratch, the silence she can't explain, the memory that resurfaces when she's with someone else. That's the mark you want. Not love, not even desire, influence. Understand this, the human brain doesn't crave comfort. It craves stimulation. It craves puzzles. It craves the tension of not knowing. And when you embody that, you become a psychological addiction. So here's your final practice. Speak less, reveal less, hold more silence, create more tension, be more unpredictable, walk away more often. Give less comfort, more disruption. Don't be rude, don't be cruel, but be untouchable. She shouldn't fully hold you. She should always feel she's chasing something just out of reach. That slight distance is the secret. That one step out of reach keeps her running. That absence keeps her hooked. That enigma keeps her haunted. In the end, it's not about being loved. It's not even about being desired. It's about becoming a part of her mental architecture, the shadow that lingers in her thoughts, the silence she can't escape, the enigma she can't solve. So ask yourself right now, will you keep chasing her with comfort, or will you finally let her feel the weight of silence? Will you keep trying to impress, or will you become the storm she never saw coming? If this struck you, don't just sit there. Take it, use it, embody it. Because once you do, you'll never be the same in her eyes again. And if this message hit you hard, share it. Not for me, for the man out there still lost in confusion. The man wasting years chasing approval. You might save him. You might wake him. Drop this in the comments right now. She will feel me long after I'm gone. That one line says everything. It's the truth she'll live with. It's the imprint you leave. You've just learned how to speak without words, how to imprint without touching, how to influence without asking. Most men will never get this far, but you did, and that makes you rare. Now the question is simple, will you use it? Because power unused is power lost.